How we doing, Michelle?
Good morning, Michael. Here we are live and ready to go.
We are here, LinkedIn Live, durable skills for the intelligence age. I think folks are finding their way in, which is great.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here with you this morning.
Likewise, I know it's early for our friends out on the West Coast, but it is great to be with all of you. We'll wait just another second here as folks find their way in, and we will kick it off. All right, I think we're good. Well, again, welcome everyone for joining us here. You're here for Durable Skills for the Intelligence Age, a great conversation about education and the future. And just as a means of introduction, my name is Michael Crawford. I am VP of Strategic Initiatives at America Succeeds. And today's conversation is about one of the most urgent challenges in education and the workforce, which is closing that gap between what young people learn in school, what they have opportunities to develop, and what they need to succeed in life and work. And so specifically, we're here to talk about durable skills, those timeless human abilities like communication and problem solving and collaboration, adaptability, that ultimately drive success in every career, every post-secondary adventure, every industry, and every community. And these are the skills that employers say matter most, and yet too often they are the ones that are least measured, hardest to build at scale, kind of least prioritized. And that's what America Succeeds, that's why America Succeeds launched our Pat Smith K-12 Durable Skills Framework Project, which we'll talk about today, and ultimately why we're collaborating with the Human Intelligence Movement, Michelle and her team, to elevate this conversation nationally. So you'll hear from a diverse group of voices today, people leading the change and the charge from every corner of the ecosystem. So joining me here today is Dr. Devin Vodicka, co-CEO of Learner Centered Collaborative and national leader in reimagining education systems. Dr. DeShawn Washington, an educator and student voice advocate, also the 2024 Massachusetts Teacher of the Year, and the founder of Cultivating Change Makers. And last but certainly not least, my co-host here, Dr. Michelle Ament, co-president of the Human Intelligence Movement and the CAO of ProSolve, who, again, excited to be collaborating here today. And so ultimately, together, what we're hoping to do here is explore what is changing in schools and work and the ways in which durable skills create opportunity for every learner, and ultimately what it will take to build a generation ready, not just for the jobs of today, but for the jobs of tomorrow and for the lives that young people hope and deserve to lead. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Michael. It is a pleasure to be here with everyone. Welcome, DeShawn and Devin. I am Michelle Ament, the co-president of the Human Intelligence Movement, and something that I am just so excited about is this partnership with Durable Skills and America Succeeds, because at the Human Intelligence Movement, we have defined human intelligence very similar to the framework that you all have around durable skills. And we think about human intelligence around our cognitive skills, our social emotional skills, and our adaptability skills. And as a movement, we are a grassroots nonprofit organization of educators and leaders and people in the workforce that are really advocating for something different. We know that when we look ahead to the intelligence age, that the workforce is going to demand a different set of skills. And I think that's exactly, Michael, what you framed out that America Succeeds is very passionate about. And it's like right now there is this just need to really think about an AI world, and how human skills will be the greatest commodity, more so than ever. And what we're committed to figuring out and helping educators and business leaders understand are what are the things that make us uniquely human that we need to really focus in on as we develop those both in our K-12 setting and in our workforce, so that individuals can really maximize their human potential in this AI world. And I think what I'm really excited about for this conversation is that this landscape is ever changing for us. And every day we see more and more advancements in AI. And what that does is really helps us think, pushes us to think differently about what our human potential needs to be in an AI world. And so the human intelligence movement, it is all about AI, but really nothing about AI, in the sense that we're not about AI, like learning about how to use AI tools or maximizing efficiency with AI. It's really about how do we maximize and leverage our human intelligence alongside AI tools. So I'm excited because I think the work you've been doing with durable skills and human intelligence are like two sides of the coin. It's going to be really fun to explore with DeShawn and Devin ways that they are really seeing human intelligence and durable skills needed in our world today. So with that, I want to give DeShawn and Devin just an opportunity to tell us a little bit about themselves, the work they do, and then we'll get into some conversation. So Devin, why don't you go ahead?
Well, thank you for that. I'm excited to be here with everyone today. And I'm Devin Vodicka, the co-founder, co-CEO of Learner Centered Collaborative. We are a national nonprofit organization, and our mission is to partner with educators to define whole learner outcomes, design meaningful learning experiences, and create the conditions for learner-centered education. And we do that in pursuit of our vision, which is that we see that in the future, there will be learning ecosystems where all learners know who they are, thrive in community, and actively engage in the world as their best selves. And so in this work, we have the good fortune and the privilege to partner with K-12 school districts across several state agencies, and we're seeing a lot of interest in redefining what success looks like and how we reimagine all the elements of our education ecosystems to get to those outcomes.
Fantastic. I love what you said about actively engage students to be their best selves. Like I wrote that down on a little note because that just really hit me around how do we create the conditions. I didn't hear you talk about knowledge and skills and scope and sequences, but really like how do we help them be their best selves? And all of that, all of the don't mean to minimize, the work around skill development and knowledge development that builds to it. But I just get so excited about that idea about helping kids be their best selves. So thank you. DeShawn, go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in, whether it's a late morning or a very early morning for you. DeShawn Washington, 2024 Massachusetts Teacher of the Year, and founder and president of Cultivating Changemakers. A little bit about our work. We are writing financial literacy curriculum in the state of Massachusetts and also in other states that are looking to have financial literacy education as part of the learning experience for students. This work is really inspired by the fact that in Massachusetts, we're one of the final states to not have financial literacy at all as part of a graduation requirement. And so to elevate the need for kids to learn about finance and money, very important to kids being able to navigate the world outside of school building when we talk about college, career, and workforce preparation. In regards to America Succeeds, more extensively for the conversation today, I had a chance to work with Michael and Michelle during the summer, where we had a chance to take a look at some of the opportunities of creating a framework for the durable skills. If you think about teachers and educators and students, we do a little bit of this all the time, but we don't have always a name for the work that we're called to do. What America Succeeds has done very well is placed a name, a title around some of these durable skills, these skills that are beneficial not just for the classroom, but the navigation of life. And we think about developing the whole child, acknowledging their being and also where they're going to become in life. These skills are prevalent in all types of spaces that kids are going to be going into, especially in a environment today where you're seeing the expansion of technology and AI being used in schools and communities all around. And so this preparation work that we'll talk about today is thinking about who are our children going to become in the future years, and how are these skills going to be necessary for them in order to thrive as college students, as professionals, as civic engaged members of our society. So it's an honor to be with all you all today.
Welcome, DeShawn. Congratulations on your accomplishments and that Teacher of the Year award. That's no small feat, Michael. We are like in the presence of some great thinkers and movers and shakers this morning.
100%. Yeah, it is an honor, and it's great, DeShawn and Michelle, certainly to work with you over the past summer on this work, and Devin, always great to collide with you. Looking forward to a conversation to come here. But we'll take us into the first part of our conversation. We really wanted to kind of zoom out a bit and talk about the urgency of the change that we're seeing, the kinds of shifts that are happening in schools and in work, and just for a little bit of context around America Succeeds and our work in durable skills. So America Succeeds, national nonprofit. I've been around for a little bit over 10 plus years, working at the intersection of education and employment, really trying to better understand what the world of work looks like and where the world of work is going, and then backwards connect to education systems, both the K-12 and post-secondary, to try to build better bridges between the two. So there's more connection, more collaboration between the two so that they speak better together. We, about 4 or 5 years ago, really heard from the business community that they could find folks with technical skills, but they had a much harder time finding folks with what they called soft skills or 21st century skills or essential skills or employability skills. And so we dove into the literature to try to understand, well, what are these skills that employers are seeking but not getting? And it turns out that after a lot of research, crosswalking, skills taxonomies, we landed on what we call durable skills. And so these are communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. And we worked in partnership with organizations like Lightcast and CompTIA, analyzed over 80 million job descriptions, worked with subject matter experts and over 800 employers to build out some initial tools for folks in the education space and in the employment space. We built a durable skills wheel. We call our Path-Smith durable skills wheel. That includes 10 durable skills competencies around the inside, 100 sub-skills around the outside. And then we partnered with CompTIA to build out a framework, essentially a rubric for what early career professionals should know and be able to do. So these are 22 to 24-year-olds. And these sub-skills are sort of outfitted at 4 performance levels, from just beginning to use a skill to being able to use a skill unconsciously at a high level across multiple contexts. And so that framework, our Path-Smith durable skills framework, was released in January of last year. The free version of that framework, what we call our starter edition, has been downloaded over 2,000 times. And about half of those folks are from K-12, which leads us to where we are today. So one of the things that we heard from our K-12 downloaders is that they love the framework. They appreciate having it as a target, having a sense of where their learners are going and the kinds of skills that they should have. But what did it do for them in the 2nd grade classroom, in the 9th grade classroom, in the 5th grade classroom, or in the after-school program that's serving elementary age students or learners? And we didn't have a great answer at the time. And so hearing that as much as we did and seeing where things like portraits are going, we launched the Path-Smith K-12 Durable Skills Project. And as part of that project, our hope was to transform and translate our current framework, designed for 22 to 24-year-olds, into a developmentally appropriate framework and set of resources for adults that are serving K-12 learners. That project's unfolding over 4 parts. We had SMEs work on drafts of the frameworks. We convened folks like Michelle and DeShawn around the language of the framework, the specificity, the developmental appropriateness of it, and ultimately I begin to identify some resources that can help adults in that process of serving young people around durable skills. And then we have a pilot, phase 3, which is where we are right now, and something I'll talk a little bit more about. But the pilot is an opportunity for educators to get their hands on some free tools and free resources to test out and try out so that they can help learners develop durable skills. So ultimately, again, the big picture of this project is to help practitioners and organizations really engage young people, K-12 learners, around durable skills. So that's a little bit of context setting around America Succeeds and around our current K-12 project, which we're really excited about. Devin, I want to jump over to you. You've worked with school leaders, districts all over the place, all around the country. And I'm curious, how are you seeing schools evolve or not, maybe struggling to evolve, to meet the realities of a changing workforce? How are you seeing them take action, and maybe what are some of the things that are holding them back?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And, we are seeing educators and educational leaders across the country doing amazing work. And there are so many bright spots that we love to celebrate that show us what's possible. But if you zoom out, you see a system that is confronted with some significant challenges right now. You have declining enrollment in many places. Get data from polls like Gallup, you see a decline in the confidence that the public has in K-12 schools. And when you look at the experience of students, what you see is pretty high levels of like passivity and disengagement because they're not as connected and as inspired as we would want them to be. And so and some of that is fueled by what and Michael were talking about, which is that the world around us is changing very, very fast, and that young people they know what's happening in the world around them, and they're looking for relevance and purpose in their K-12 experience. And so what we're seeing happen is many school systems asking themselves the question, what is the purpose of school in the modern age? And that's an exciting and challenging question to lean into. But as they do that, what we're excited to see developing is what we call these frameworks for the future. So working with the community to co-design a clear vision, mission, values, learner portrait, which often includes elements of the durable skills outcomes, a clear learning model, and then what we call a blueprint, which is how do you believe you should be approaching this change process. And so we're seeing that creating these frameworks for the future and developing coherence is a really important element so that we have structures to promote powerful learning, because we're social creatures, and that creates the container and the space for us to work together. And so, and districts are choosing outcomes like the ones you see in the durable skills: collaboration, creativity, ethics, civic engagement. And once you align on these types of outcomes, you then have to work on shifting the learning experiences, which requires us to change our capabilities as educators, or expand our capabilities as educators. We're seeing an emphasis in school design to shift the structures of school itself. And then we're seeing the structures at districts and county offices and state agencies also shift to support new models of schooling, different types of learning experiences, all in service of this broader set of outcomes. So if I kind of put that together, what we're seeing working for schools is when they focus on coherence, capacity, co-design, and measuring what matters, we start to see real significant progress, higher levels of engagement, persistence, inspiration, and getting closer to the outcomes that are most important in the intelligence age.
Michael, I think you have something amazing to say.
That's so funny. Well, I was trying to say something amazing. Um, Devin, real quick, I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
it's hard to hear that systems are moving in this way, that there are school leaders that are thinking this way, that there are district leaders that are thinking this way.
Mhm.
DeShawn, I want to get a little bit closer to the ground, right? And so you're working directly with students on a regular basis. What kinds of things are you noticing in classrooms when it comes to developing the kinds of skills that are maybe in a portrait or that are included in a durable skills wheel? Um, what are you noticing? What are you seeing when it comes to these skills and maybe how students are embracing them as they think about their futures?
Thank you, Michael, for sharing your questions. So a little bit more of a background. I teach fourth grade elementary. So I work with 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and it's about 25 students. And I keep the same students all day long. So these are students who are with me from the beginning to the end of the day. So no switching out of students during the day. So, I think one of the great advantages of being an educator who gets to have the same students with you all throughout the day is you really get to know your students at a relational level. You know their interests, you know their drives, their purpose, what they're into, what they're not into, at a one-on-one level. And then you also are creating a culture, a community within the 25 that you have in your classroom. And so I think one of the benefits of some of the work that we're doing in our classrooms at the elementary level is the emphasis on morning meeting activities. So we made morning meeting from 15 to 30 minutes, and the morning meeting gives us an opportunity to really work on some of these skill sets: communication, collaboration, metacognition, critical thinking, leadership, character. And we really frame that in the sense of activities, games that kids are playing, opportunities where kids are socializing and working on a problem together, and then being able to talk about what they notice in the activity in the game with one another as a way of really sharing some insights that they gain. And as a teacher, creating and fostering opportunities for students to have that dialogue and facilitate discussion rather than being the know all be all of the experience of an educator. And so, those morning meeting activities are great. We do community circles a couple times a week, and we have different types of circles. These are circles that help to talk about school issues that's going on, classroom issues that's going on in the room, and how these durable skills are manifesting itself in the midst of developing social skills and behavior development. And it really intrigues me a lot to hear young folks talk about, for example, I made this mistake. I did this to this person. This is why I did that. That's like aspect of leadership. That's the aspect of being able to have high upstanding character, to be able to take ownership for wrongdoing, and then seeking forgiveness for that wrongdoing, and then other students also receiving that forgiveness, and then also accepting forgiveness as well. Like, that's a very powerful opportunity for kids to practice these skills. As I mentioned earlier, we in the profession, in the ground, we don't always have the language of what these terms are, but we really do a lot to emphasize on these durable skills because we recognize how important they are, not just from an academic perspective. It certainly is important for the academics, just as important as they are for the social and the behavior development, well, as well, for our young students. One thing that was also interesting to me was that, and this is something that America Succeeds could think about too, in the college realm, when we think about upcoming educators and thinking about my own experience, I never was taught anything about durable skills and the importance of these skills as an educator. I was taught how to teach. I was taught how to use curriculum. I was taught how to look at data. I was taught how to use data to inform practice. I knew the kind of landscape of what it meant to be a teacher. These skills weren't necessarily taught explicitly. And therefore, when I first became an educator, I didn't have not only did I not have these language terms as in the wheel, but I didn't understand how they were intimately connected, nor the importance of it. And so, even in my work now as a professor, working with upcoming educators who are thriving to get into the profession, we're dropping seeds about these durable skills, these things that may not necessarily be explicitly taught in their classes, but it's going to prepare them for being able to service their students, regardless of the grade level, because we are all continuously developing, growing, learning more. And it requires us to even reconsider like the importance of even having durable skills as a course in the college realm for our students to be exposed to, our educators, our upcoming educators to be exposed to, professional development opportunities for our teachers to have, so that not only is the languages used in the classrooms, but then we can practice utilizing these tools. And so I'm really excited, and I know we'll talk about it later with the pilot opportunities and why we need them so much. Excited to be able to see how that's going to manifest itself for educators who may still be looking for that language, may not have it, or may not have the training on how to use these durable skills languages in the academic and social well.
Playing with my mute button over here. Thanks for that, DeShawn. Again, absolutely has me thinking about the opportunities young people have in your classroom to lean into these skills and to talk about these skills and to name these skills, which we know is super, super important. Michelle, I want to throw a question over to you. One thing that has not come up with DeShawn or Devin, and is required, I think, by law in any sort of conversation or webinar, is to talk about AI. And we know that AI is moving faster than most schools and school systems can respond. And so how have you seen educators balancing the kind of engagement and integration of AI while also thinking about durable skills and human intelligence and things that can't be automated and kind of, technologized away? What are you seeing on that front?
That's a great question. And I think that we're all trying to figure it out. And there are pockets of innovation around this that we really need to tap into and scale. I think from the human intelligence movement's lens, really what is that we see this as an opportunity right now to really think differently about why we go to school. And that really, we've been in kind of this knowledge age that the purpose of school has been to cover content, build knowledge with students. And as we think about an intelligence age, knowing that that knowledge is ubiquitous and at our fingertips, it's now different. How do we use the information in a unique way? And I think one of the most dangerous things that could happen right now is that we learn about AI and just focus on it as a tool instead of really taking this opportunity to think differently about our systems. And I want to elevate what Devin said around this idea of creating the conditions for relevancy and purposeful learning. And I think about how I can imagine in DeShawn's classroom what it could look like if students were given a problem to solve and some tools that help them know how to gather that information through AI, but that the focus was not on learning knowledge, but instead solving that real world problem, adding value to society, figuring out how to collaborate with one another, use their critical thinking, divergent thinking to solve this problem and figure out how to communicate their ideas, work as a team and as a group. And so rather than that being like a morning meeting type experience for kids, how is that the entire day? Because I could guess that DeShawn, in your class, probably you saw the greatest engagement in your circles, your morning meetings, those great things you talked about where kids were using durable skills. Our vision is how do we support our education system to think differently so that becomes the entire day of learning and it's infused so that learning is relevant and purposeful. So kids are building those skills for an AI workforce. When we look ahead to what the workforce even looks like today, like when I talk about future, the future is like right here. And I think about my day-to-day work, it involves high level levels of collaboration with one another, of really bringing ideas to the surface and integrating those ideas into a problem, being able to disagree with people and be able to convince them to believe what I believe and move an idea forward, to be able to kind of think outside the box around a problem. And I use AI all day long because what it does is it helps elevate my human potential to a place where I can tap into those skills, those durable skills we're talking about, at a much deeper level. And what I have found is that it has created it has shown me where my human potential lives and how I can bring that to my day-to-day work. And what I have a great fear is that we are going to graduate all of these students that don't know how to do that. And because we've been so focused on equipping them with knowledge, and they're not going to need that knowledge. Instead, they need to know how to really maximize these skills, whether it is critical thinking, communication, collaboration, ethics, empathy. I mean, I'm rattling them off, because it's expansive and deep, the number of skills that make us uniquely human that AI will never replace. And so I think in terms of our system right now, I don't know that we know exactly how to go into the intelligence age and redesign and rebuild a system. And I'm tremendously excited about just this conversation, because I think America Succeeds is providing some tools and some resources to help teachers do that. I think Learner Center Collaborative is helping think about the big strategic planning frameworks, the clarity of why we go to school and what that looks like. And then even, just the fact that DeShawn's in the conversation telling us exactly what it looks like in the classroom. I think we need more teacher voice in the conversation to be able to chart our path forward.
Love it. Makes a ton of sense again. I think, what I'm hearing here across all of you is that it's not a matter of adaptation not happening, but rather the pace and the scale, right? So thinking about purpose of school, thinking about preparation of educators, thinking about the relevance of which kinds of skills and which kinds of intelligence is necessary and needed moving forward in an AI age. It has me thinking about the William Gibson quote around the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. And I think that's likely the case. We're seeing examples across systems and schools, individual organizations, individual educators that are beginning to embrace the kinds of structures and systems and approaches that are empowering and enabling young people to be equipped and ready and prepared in building that future, but it's just not everywhere. So, Michelle, I want to toss the MC over to you here and start to think about how we can convert and change and transform awareness into action.
Absolutely. And thank you. As we kind of transition, there's a couple of folks joining us. I just want to bring in a little bit of their thoughts and kind of see what the group thinks on David's idea about we actually haven't been focused on knowledge. Our academic outcomes are in a free fall. I'm curious what comes up for you all there. I know I have pretty strong feelings in the fact that I agree with him, and it's like, we're not doing knowledge well, we're not doing skills well. And so what are we doing well? And I'm curious what that comes up for you when you see that statement.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think our practice is in the middle of a season that requires transformation, revitalization. This is a new era of students and a new era of a workforce. The old way of teaching content with 80% teacher voice and students just taking knowledge and rote memory is by the wayside. Our practice hasn't matched what the environment of our society is calling for young folks to have. And you all are hearing that with the workforce of we need folks with these types of durable skills that are not explicitly taught everywhere at this time. In addition to that, we want kids who can write, read, speak on an email. We want people to have skill sets that they can utilize in a workforce to meet a timely deadline, to meet an expectation, and to have like an outcome of some kind. And I think we're in the middle of that transition period of time of a new way of what education looks like, that America Succeeds will be part of that work of advancing a new method of what is important for young folks to utilize in post-secondary experiences once they leave high school. So I'm also in agreement with the concern about the academic outcomes. Um, we are just in a middle of a season where there's a lot of revitalization that needs to happen to make education once again a powerful tool in the schooling experience, I should say. The schooling experience to be a powerful tool towards the durable skills, the academic skills, the life skills necessary. Um, and I think that'll take a while, especially if we're shifting toward a more student-led academic profile where we want to have more students be more of the speakers in the classroom and teachers become more facilitators. There's certainly a shifting process that doesn't happen overnight. But yeah, it's something that's a little bit concerning for sure, especially when you take a look at test scores, reading scores, math scores, where we're producing more children that's not reading, more children that's not strong in mathematics, critical thinking skills, and that's not okay.
So, DeShawn, if you could, sorry, Devin, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I love what DeShawn said. I think he's spot on with his description of being a system that's in trend. And I think another question that we should be asking when we think about academic outcomes is, how are we measuring those academic outcomes? And when we say that things are in decline, what is the method by which we're assessing those outcomes? And Gallup data earlier around public confidence in schools. And one of the other things that the Gallup surveys are indicating is that families seem to care less and less about standardized test scores. And so why is that? Why is it that families are less concerned about test scores now than they were ago or 20 years ago? And I think some of it is a recognition that many of the prevalent assessments are from a different paradigm, and asking kids to do A, B, C, D multiple choice questions in the age of AI, and at a time when those sorts of questions can be answered quite efficiently with different resources that are out there, may be an indication that we need to reimagine how we think about assessing success in the modern era. And so we see many more schools starting to shift into learning exhibitions and portfolios and multimodal ways of demonstrating the academic outcomes that they're trying to pursue, as well as these durable skills that do situate that in context and often emphasize how students are and young people are applying their knowledge to improve their schools and improve their communities. And these are the shifts that I think make learning more relevant, more purposeful, and help us have a better idea about how young people are developing as whole people as well.
Right. So both of you really are starting to elevate some of the practical things we can do, whether it's assessment, whether it's how we engage students. DeShawn, I invite you to go a little bit deeper on maybe you told us a little bit about morning meetings and the circles that you've done. Can you elaborate on one of those, or maybe give us a practical strategy that would really center that learner as being the facilitator of their learning and the teacher being that guide? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure thing. So, there's been research about the ratio between teacher student voice and how, there's, depending upon the research and the time frame, you get somewhere around 70% teacher voice, 30% student voice. I've always wanted to flip that ratio upside down and make it where it was 70% student voice, 30% teacher voice. And how do we do that? So, what a morning meeting could be a great example. There's a math problem on the board. And it might be an extension from a math lesson that we did the previous day. So it's just kind of like refreshing our brains to get ready for the day. And so we have a math problem on the board. And we have for students to work on this problem. And it could make it any type of problem. Students are leveraging several resources around them. They're leveraging anchor charts that were created together as part of the previous day math lesson. They're leveraging the resources of each other, who are sitting next to each other in the circle or sitting to each other. They went back to their desk to work on this problem and talk about the problem together. They're also leveraging other small groups. So if there's two people in a group that may not know the process, how to start the problem, another group may be able to jump in to help support them. If I notice that there are several people that are struggling with the problem that we worked on from the previous day, that's when I come in and I'll probably have to reteach because it clearly states that multiple people are just not picking up this activity. But let's say that this is something that most people are able to pick up and a few people get the extra support from other classmates. When we come back together in the circle, students are now presenting out their solutions, writing down the different methods in which they engage in solving that math problem. And students are also asking questions about their choice of strategy and their choice of why they chose that particular strategy as opposed to another one in solving the problem. We might even have two different types of strategies up on the board for all of us to start reflecting and thinking about. And then as a teacher, I will facilitate questions for us to investigate a strategy, like let's say a multiplication problem, and kids are wrestling between the multiplication array and standard algorithm. And let's talk a little bit about why one group chose this method and the other group choose that. And kids will start to have those discussions like, well, the array might be easier to visualize and be able to break down a multiplication part into smaller chunks. And so it might have been easier for that group. For the standard algorithm, might be, well, they may had already passed through the array strategy, and now they may feel that they could practice the standard algorithm strategy. And kids will have these dialogues to really investigate that there are multiple pathways. When you're thinking about, America Succeeds, there's different pathways towards that wheel. And if you think about the wheel, like each component is being utilized when we talk about these types of discussions with students and with the teacher. And every part of that wheel is just as important as the next part of the wheel. So if you think about the different types of durable skills, leadership, character, metacognition, what have you. If you think about all these different skills, they all need each other. Yet all these skills are also essential for the whole body to work. If you think about our own bodies for a moment, there's not a single part of our body that's like less valuable than another. Mm-hmm. We might deem certain parts more extensive than another because of how much is talked about or the utilization of it. But each part has an emphasis on how we operate every day. So maybe as something as small as a pinky might not think as significant as another part of the body. But if you break your pinky, that's a significant change of how you go about your day-to-day business. It's the same thing about the durable skills. Those morning meeting conversations, those afternoon conversations, even the activities of learning together and leveraging all their resources, they are all essential to being part of navigating the academic learning. So hopefully we have those outcomes that David mentioned earlier, that's not falling, but rising, leading towards students leveraging each other as part of the academic learning in an interdependent way.
DeShawn, thank you. That was a brilliant example. I would have given anything for my own 3 kids to be in your classroom and have that integration of the mathematical standards you talked about alongside those durable skills, and just being able to build them in an integrated way in concert with one another, and valuing both as so important. That's what I heard you talk about, and I think one of the things we see is maybe there's, and Michael, you talked about this at the beginning, there's maybe less of a value at times around durable skills. We don't know how to teach them. We don't know how to measure them. We think they're important, but because we're missing some of that information, they kind of get put to the back burner or left to the side. And Devin, I'd look to you because I know Learner Centered Collaborative created some tools. You have an app that helps teachers be able to come up with these ideas that DeShawn so eloquently told us about. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and how are you supporting teachers with making this happen?
Yeah, these are good questions. So, when we're partnering with communities where they've committed to these whole learner outcomes, there become a lot of questions about how are we going to bring these to life for all of our young people. And so a lot of that work is the adaptive change process and helping set the conditions to help navigate through ambiguity, and school systems need a lot of support with change management, change leadership. But in addition to that, educator practices need to shift. And so we provide an array of supports to help educators, including things that we call innovation cohorts. We have self-paced courses. We try to emulate the learner-centered experiences that we want to see for young people with the adults as well. And as we've been doing that, what we found was that a real challenge was how educators get started with their planning. And so we collaborated, we partnered with needs, and we created what we call the Durable Skills Learning Experience Accelerator app. And this app is designed for educators, and they can go through a series of prompts in this app, indicate what they're working on, what they're trying to achieve, and the app will help them to align their plans with durable skills that would be paired with their existing units or projects that they're already planning. It helps them to define success criteria for those durable skills relevant to their developmental level of their learners. It gives them plans. And we've also trained up this app with our learner-centered strategies. So one of the things that I think has been a bit of a challenge is a lot of these apps are trained up in sort of the traditional paradigm of teaching and learning. And so when you engage them as a co-planner for educators, they tend to reinforce kind of an adult-centric, teacher-centered mode of instruction. And what I love about this app is we've actually trained it up to orient to these durable skills that we know are so important, but it also helps the educator shift into more learner-centered practice, doing some of the things that DeShawn said. How do we lead with more student engagement, student voice in the activities and experiences that they have, so that we're really activating what makes each of them unique, their identity, their strengths, their interests in the entire flow of the experience. And as we've been implementing this with educators, what we are finding is that the level of evidence of implementation is quite high. So if you look at the data generally on educator change and professional learning, you see the translation from the professional learning experience into practice tends to be very, very low. We did a study with a researcher looking at one of our innovation cohorts and found that 90% of teachers had evidence of implementing the new strategies. And that is extremely encouraging. And I think it's this combination of powerful tools that help shift practices, but those professional learning experiences, again, are aligned with the types of learner-centered models that we want to see that include personalization, competency-based outcomes, authentic learning, an inclusive community. So I'm excited about these resources. I'm excited about the potential for change, and really grateful to be able to collaborate with organizations like America Succeeds to help us think about what's possible at scale, knowing that, as Michael was saying earlier, the rate of change needs to speed up in K-12 education.
Absolutely. Okay, so a couple of things that I just have to lift up, Devin. One, the app, the link to the app is in the comments. And so you're giving this to educators right now to try out and to use, which is just amazing. And so grab that link. I think the other thing that I just there's so many things I want to emphasize, but one is that idea that you have created some efficient tool for teachers that really centers the learner in the learning experience and focuses on the durable skills. And I think you are so right with many lesson planning apps that are out there. They are reinforcing traditional models of education. And all we are doing is making it more efficient to do the same thing we've always done. And so what I am just like thrilled about is your ability to kind of push on that paradigm of change and increasing the efficiency in a direction that is going to be better for students. I go back to your quote, like, actively engage students to be their best selves. And so that app really, I think, is an accelerator of that. And that really brings me to kind of full circle, Michael, to how we started, where you talked a lot, where you began to share with us about the PathSmith project that America Succeeds is working on. And I want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more, because as you mentioned, DeShawn and I worked with you this summer to create the framework and to think about strategies and lessons and things so you brought together experts in the field to really think about how do we give teachers and school systems really evidence-based, strongly efficacious tools that can be used to build these durable skills. And I feel like that's some of what we've been missing. So tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we embarked on this K-12 project based on what we were hearing from educators, from folks working in the K-12 space, after school providers, teachers, superintendents, folks who were identifying that these skills are important, that they know that this is what young people need to begin to develop and understand, become aware of, articulate ultimately in post-secondary spaces or in the workforce. And yet they didn't have tools, resources, platforms, et cetera, that would help them to do that in ways that they knew were research-based, employer-driven, and coming from a place of kind of rigor and high quality. And so we embarked on this project, as you mentioned, to try to do that. The pilot phase of this project is opening on October 27. It runs to December 19. You don't have to sign up on the first day in order to be eligible to participate. You can join anytime between that window. And what we're hoping to do here is across the K-12 spectrum, classroom teachers as well as folks outside of classrooms. It could be micro school founders, they could be after school program staff, they could be parents, essentially any adult that's working with K-12 age young folks. We would love to have contribute and participate. But when you sign up, you will get access to a bundle of resources. So resources that are developmentally appropriate based on the learners that you're working with. These are light touch, lightweight resources and tools that'll allow you to build upon what you're already likely doing or what educators are already likely doing. And as DeShawn mentioned, just may not have the language or the specific skill terminology in mind. And so these resources are things like question prompts and reflection guides and I can statements and other kinds of tools that can be easily integrated into whatever it is that the educator adult is doing. We ask that participants in the pilot at minimum use one of these resources and provide feedback. We know that our research can only take us so far, and that in fact we need practitioners to help us better understand what it is that they need and want, what works well, what doesn't work well, what is resonating with students, what is connecting to their lessons, or what is more challenging, what isn't integrating well, or what is too cumbersome, or all the kinds of things that go into building a high quality program or product or service. We would love to hear from the actual folks who are using it. So the window opens October 27. We would love for you to join americasucceeds.org/K12. And maybe the last thing I'll say is, by joining this pilot, it's really a little to minimum commitment on the educator's part, maybe a couple hours over the course of several weeks to participate. But by joining, you get access to these resources when they come out in spring earlier than the full public release. So you get early access to these kinds of tools. You get access to a community of like-minded educators who are thinking and acting maybe differently than some of their counterparts, folks who are thinking about skills, thinking about whole child development, thinking about how the education experience connects to young people's future in new ways. And then for every piece of feedback that you share, so let's say you use 2 resources a total of 10 times, and you want to provide 10 pieces of feedback, that'll enter your name into a $100 gift card raffle that you can win as well. So a little bit of incentive there beyond just doing it for the good of the people and the good of the kids. But americasucceeds.org/K12. We would love to have you join, and I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Michael. We've got the links in the comments, so you can grab those. Here, I just want to commend America Succeeds for providing a pilot opportunity to leverage teacher voice, to be able to put something in the hands of teachers and then ask for feedback. That really says a lot about what you believe in terms of co-design and what you want to produce that really is going to have an impact on students. And really getting that teacher voice through this process, I think, is essential. And so whether you're a classroom teacher, a building administrator, a district administrator, thinking about how do you bring this into your school setting and give that opportunity for teachers not only to try something out and support students, but also empowering them to really tell us what do students need. I think DeShawn, you really framed today for us just that importance of how students are different today, and the learning that we provide, the conditions we create in our classrooms needs to be different. And I think just taking this opportunity to really hear from those closest to who we're trying to serve is remarkable. So thank you for that, Michael. As we start to wrap up, let's close with kind of one final thought from each of you around what gives you hope around the future of learning and the future of work. What gives you hope? What do you want to leave us with? I'm going to call on you, DeShawn, first. I know you're full of thoughts. What do you want to leave us with?
Well, thank you, Michelle. I think that we're in a very, very important time in education, and there's a great opportunity for us to reimagine, as Devin pointed out earlier, to reimagine education, schooling as a vessel towards purpose. And, the work that America Succeeds is doing in building some of these durable skills that could be applied in every type of situation that you go in is one type of reimagining. And putting that into fruition now that we're starting to pilot and we're starting to see educators in the next few months start to put into place durable skills into their holistic view of learning, will create opportunities for young folks to now put into name some of these practices that they're happening in the classroom in preparation for all post-secondary experiences that they may tackle over the years to come. So this season, where there is great concern about academic performance, great concern about outcomes, great concern about how prepared our young folks are going to be for the workforce, is an opportunity, again, as Devin mentioned, to reimagine and revitalize what education could and should be for our students now moving forward. And that requires a change. And America Succeeds with the Durable Skills is part of a change of how we approach education and what students need in order for them to be successful academically, socially, behaviorally. So that's the hope, is that this is a reimagining season for education. If we take advantage of this and also focus on all the academic needs necessary for students, we could see some potential change in a positive light in the next few years.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, DeShawn. Connect with DeShawn. We've got his LinkedIn information in the chat. You're going to want to follow up with him and stay on top of the work he's doing. Devin, what about you? What's your final thoughts for us?
Well, I love everything that DeShawn said. I think I'm glad this is recorded because we should go back and listen to that. Your question about, what gives us hope, I was having I was just remembering that when I was a superintendent, sometimes I was a little discouraged with all the things that are challenging in education. And there was an elementary school right down the street from our district office. And when I was having just a rough day, I'd walk down the street and I would just go hang out with kindergarten students, first grade students. And what gives me hope is just the optimism and the joy and the amazing potential of every one of our young learners. And I think that those of us that have the great privilege to be proximate to young people and their learning development have to be energized and excited about what's possible in the future. And so what gives me hope is our young people. And as we engage deeply with them, it just, re-inspires me to think about how we bring to life that vision of all of us who really know who we are, thrive in community, and actively engage in the world as our best selves. And I'm excited about what's possible.
Thank you, Devin. And there was that actively engages our best selves. Again, I love it, love it. Connect with Devin. The link's in the chat again to learn more about the work that he is doing. I think I'll tell you what gives me hope, and then I'm going to turn it to you, Michael, to take us home. But I think for me, it's this conversation. It's just the fact that we are engaged in the conversation. We are recognizing that it is a time of redesign and rebuilding. We see the opportunity ahead of us, and people are coming together to solve this wicked problem. And we see this in the human intelligence movement. People want to be engaged and want to help figure things out. And so that gives me huge hope, because I know when like-minded people come together centered around a similar mission, great things happen, because it is fueled from that human connection and that human innovation. So I'm just pleased to be here. And Michael, I'll toss it to you and wrap us up.
Sounds great. Well, thanks, Michelle and DeShawn and Devin, certainly for your wisdom and your insights here today and the work that you do more broadly. I think what gives me hope is the energy and the attention being paid to what I would describe as non-academic outcomes, non-academic experiences specifically. 21st century skills, soft skills, what we call durable skills, are not new. It's humorous to call them 21st century skills in 2025, but we've been calling them those for a long time. And it's just exciting and heartening to see that more attention is being paid to more of a young person, more of their humanity, more of what they're bringing to the table in terms of their interests and their identities and their aspirations. And so we think durable skills is a key piece of that. And there's more as well that's getting a lot of attention these days. And so that to me gives me hope. I want to say thanks to you all who joined us. I know we're a few minutes over, so I appreciate your time sticking with us. If you are interested in the pilot, please go to americasucceeds.org/K12. If you're interested in the human intelligence movement more broadly, be sure to check them out on LinkedIn and at their website. And thanks again for joining us for Durable Skills for the Intelligence Age. We will catch you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you all.